Algebra Unit 6, Lesson 4, Note 6, Solving Systems of Equations Algebraically. Solve each system of equations algebraically. Indicate which method you choose to solve, elimination or substitution. State the solution and indicate if there are none or infinitely many when necessary. So for these, we are going to choose any method we wish to use and do it. Okay, we can have answers that have one solution, no solution, and infinitely many solutions. And what we're going to do is solve it the way we want and then indicate which way we chose to solve it. Okay, there's no right or wrong way to solve these. So when you do these on your own, you may have different answers, I should say different methods than someone else might have. You still should have the same answer. So let's do a few of these. Let's take a look at letter A. So looking at them, I've got one equation up top where I've got coefficients on both my variables. In the second equation, I have a coefficient of -3 for the x and a coefficient of 1 for the y. And I'm looking at this equation here. Whenever I have a coefficient of 1, I tend to like to do substitution. So I'm going to go ahead and do substitution. In order to do that, I need to get the y by itself. So I'm going to go ahead and add 3x to both sides. Let me zoom in. There we go. And I get y equals 3x plus 2. I'm going to take that and plug it in for y in the first one. Actually, I'll do it on the side here. We have -6x plus 2 times 3x plus 2 equals -2. Distribute the 2, -6x plus 6x plus 4 equals -2. Combine like terms. -6x plus 6x is 0, so those cancel. I'm left with 4 equals -2. As you know, 4 does not equal -2, which means I have no solution. And again, I'm going to indicate the method I chose to use, in this case, substitution. So you want to use substitution when you have x or y with a coefficient of 1. You don't have to. It's just sometimes a little easier. Okay, let's actually skip a couple that are a little easy. Let's go to letter D. Letter D. I have 8x minus 4y equals 16, and -6x plus 3y equals -12. I do not have a coefficient of 1, so I'm not going to use substitution. I don't want to do extra solving. Instead, what I'm going to do is use elimination. I have 8 and -6, 4 and -4 and 3. It doesn't matter which one you choose to make the same. I'm going to go with the y values. So if I'm looking at 4 and 3, the least common multiple is 12. So I'm going to make those both 12. Well, I'm going to make the numerator -12. I'm sorry, not numerator. I'm going to make the first equation -12 and the second +12. So to make -4 become -12, I'm going to multiply it by 3. And to make this +3y become a +12y, I'm going to multiply by 4. When we multiply, we get 24x minus 12y equals 48. Multiplying the second one, I get -24x plus 12y equals -48. And I'm going to go ahead and add. Well, the x's cancel and the y's cancel. I can't leave it blank, so I'm going to put 0 equals, and 48 plus -48 is also 0. 0 equals 0. This is an identity. Whenever you get a number that equals itself, it's an identity, and I chose to use elimination. If you chose a different method to use, you might have ended up with a different identity. Instead of 0 equals 0, you could have ended up with any number equals itself. But as long as you got a number equals itself and you got identity, we're good to go. I'm going to skip to the back. You can go ahead and do the front on your own. So let's take a look on the back. We're going to look at letter G. Okay, I figured most of you would want me to do one with fractions, so let's go ahead and do that one together. I have 2/7 x and -4/3 y, and then 4/7 x and +8/3 y. Doesn't matter which one you want to do. I'm going to go ahead and, since I have a negative and a positive, I like adding with elimination, so I'm going to go ahead and use elimination. I'm going to get rid of the y's. Well, to make 4/3 become 8/3, I can multiply 4 by 2, or I should say 4/3 by 2. So I'm going to take my numerator and multiply it by 2. When we do that, we get 4/7 x minus 8/3 y equals 32. The denominator, I keep saying that, I'm sorry. The second equation stays the same. 4/7 x plus 8/3 y equals -16. We're going to use elimination, so let's go ahead and add. 4/7 plus 4/7 is 8/7. Y's cancel out, equals 32 plus -16 is 16. Multiply both sides by 7/8. X equals, so 16 times 7/8 equals 14. Now that I have x, pick an equation, plug it in. I'll pick the second one. 4/7 x plus 8/3 y equals -16. 4/7 times 14 plus 8/3 y equals -16. 4/7 times 14 is 8. 8 plus 8/3 y equals -16. Subtract 8. We get 8/3 y equals -24. Multiply by the reciprocal, which is 3/8. Y equals -9. Leaving our solution as 14, -9, and I chose to use elimination. Okay, let's look at I. X minus 2y equals 4, and y equals x minus 2. I have y by itself, so I'm just going to use substitution. Otherwise, I'd have to rearrange to use elimination. So let's use substitution. I already have y solve for itself. So I'm going to take that and plug it in for y in the first equation. X minus 2 times x minus 2 equals 4. Distribute the -2. X minus 2x plus 4 equals 4. Combine like terms. I have -1x plus 4 equals 4. Subtract 4. -1x equals 0. Divide by -1. X equals 0. I'm going to plug into the second equation. Y equals 0 minus 2. Y equals -2. The solution is 0, -2, and I used substitution. Let's do one more. Let's take a look at k. Okay, we have, for our first equation, 5x plus 6y equals 18. And then we have 12y minus 4x equals 8. Take a moment and look at those equations. Something's off about them. Do you see it? We have x, then y in the first equation, and y, then x in the second equation. Remember, you need your x's and your y's and your constants lined up. So I'm going to do a little rearranging. I'm just going to rearrange the first equation. I'm just going to use the commutative property here and write 6y plus 5x. I'm just going to rearrange those two, leave everything else alone. And I'm not going to look at that one. Now let's compare. Well, I don't want to use substitution because I don't have a variable with a coefficient of 1. But it looks like I can get rid of my y's fairly easily. Now, I like to always add with elimination, so I'm going to multiply this first equation not just by 2, but by -2 to get rid of, to make this the opposite of 12. Okay. So again, I'm going to multiply my first equation by -2. Again, -12y minus 10x equals -36. The second equation stays the same. Let's go ahead and add. Y's go away. -14x equals -28. Divide by -14, x equals -2. No, I'm sorry, that's +2. Negative divided by a negative is a positive. Okay. Pick one to plug it into. I will choose the original one. It doesn't matter if you use this one, or that one rearranged. I'll just use this one that I scribbled out just to show you it'll still work. 5x plus 6y equals 18. I have x. 5 times 2 plus 6 times y equals 18. 10 plus 6y equals 18 minus 10. 6y equals 8. Divide by 6. And I'm just going to keep it as a fraction, but in simplest terms, in simplest form. And I'm left with 4/3. You can absolutely leave it improper, and I suggest you do that. So 2, 4/3, and I chose to use elimination. Okay, you should be able to do the rest of them on the note sheet.